Somewhere inside your skull, about 3 pounds of soft tissue is running the entire show. It's deciding what you notice, what you fear, who you love, and the strange little voice reading these words right now. But here's the thing, almost nobody tells you. Not all brains run the same way. Two people can look at the exact same situation, and their brains will light up completely differently. One sees a problem to solve, the other feels a wave of emotion, a third just gets bored and drifts off. So the real question isn't, how does the human brain work? It's, which kind of brain do you have? Because by the end of this video, you're going to recognize yourself in one of these, maybe two. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's go through every kind of brain one by one. Quick note before we start. These aren't official medical diagnoses. They're patterns, different ways the networks in your head tend to fire. Most people are a blend, with one or two that dominate. Watch for the one that makes you go, wait, that's me, the logical brain. This is the brain that treats life like a machine to be understood. When something happens, it doesn't ask, how do I feel about this? It asks, how does this work? And what's the most efficient fix? Inside a logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part right behind your forehead, in charge of reasoning and planning, tends to run the show. It loves structure, patterns, cause and effect. Give it a messy problem, and it quietly starts sorting it into steps. Signs this is you. You get genuinely uncomfortable when something doesn't make sense. You replay arguments and think of the correct answer hours later. You'd rather be right than comforted. When a friend is upset, your instinct is to offer a solution. And you've probably learned the hard way that sometimes they just wanted a hug. The strength? You stay calm when everyone else panics. You see the flaw in the plan before anyone else does. The weakness? Emotions, yours and other people's, can feel like static you don't know how to process. And not everything in life can be solved, like an equation. Some things just have to be felt. But make no mistake, in a crisis, everyone secretly wants a logical brain in the room. Think about who you call when something breaks, when the money doesn't add up, when a plan falls apart at the worst moment. You call the person who won't spiral, the one who says, okay, let's look at this step by step. That calm isn't coldness. It's the logical brain doing exactly what it was built to do, staying clear when everything else is on fire. The emotional brain. This is the brain where feelings come first, loud and fast, before logic even gets a chance to speak. At the center of this one sits the limbic system, especially the amygdala, a tiny almond-shaped structure that fires off emotional reactions in a fraction of a second. In an emotional brain, that signal hits hard and colors everything. You don't just have a bad morning, you feel it in your whole body. Signs this is you. Your mood can flip the entire day. You feel other people's emotions almost as if they were your own. Music, films, a random memory, they can move you to tears out of nowhere. You make decisions based on how something feels, and honestly, you're often right, because feelings carry a lot of hidden information. The strength? You're deeply alive. You connect with people on a level the logical brain envies. You create, you empathize, you remember the world in color. The weakness? Those same waves can drown you. A small rejection can feel like the end of the world, and you can get hijacked by an emotion before you've had time to think. Your challenge isn't to feel less, it's to stop your feelings from driving the car every single time. And here's something worth knowing. Study after study shows that people who can actually feel their emotions, instead of burying them, tend to make better long-term decisions. Emotion isn't the enemy of good judgment, it's part of it. The trick is letting the feeling inform you without letting it command you. The creative brain. The one that can't stop making connections nobody asked for. Scientists link creativity to something called the default mode network. The set of regions that light up when your mind wanders, daydreams, and drifts away from the task in front of you. In most people, that network quiets down during focused work. In a creative brain, it never really shuts up. It's constantly remixing ideas in the background. Signs this is you. You get your best ideas in the shower, in bed, anywhere except your desk. You have 40 unfinished projects. Your mind jumps from a documentary about ants to a business idea to a song lyric in about 9 seconds. You see a blank wall and imagine what could be there. The strength is obvious. Originality. You solve problems sideways from angles other people can't even see. You're the one who says, what if we did the complete opposite? The weakness, focus, finishing. The same wandering mind that gives you gold also drags you away right before the finish line. The creative brain doesn't struggle to start, it struggles to land. If this is you, the fix isn't more discipline. It's a system that catches your ideas and forces just one of them across the finish line. Because the world is full of brilliant people with a graveyard of half-finished projects, and the only difference between them and the ones who made it is that the second group learned to actually complete one single thing. The anxious brain. this is the brain that is always quietly scanning for danger. Remember the amygdala? In an anxious brain, it's turned up too high. It treats a late reply, an odd look, a small mistake as a potential threat, and floods your body with the same stress chemicals your ancestors used to survive a predator. Your heart speeds up over an email. Signs this is you. You imagine the worst-case scenario in vivid detail. You rehearse conversations before they happen and rerun them after. You lie in bed at night while your brain plays a highlight reel of everything that could go wrong. You often feel tired because being on alert all day is exhausting. Here's the part nobody tells you, though. The anxious brain isn't broken. It's a survival brain. It kept your ancestors alive by assuming the rustle in the grass was a lion. It's careful, prepared, and it notices risks everyone else misses. The problem is, it can't tell the difference between a real lion and a slightly awkward text message. The goal isn't to shut it off, it's to teach it which threats are actually real. And the wild part is that many of history's most careful planners, best strategists, and most prepared people ran on exactly this brain. The same wiring that keeps you up at 3 a.m. is the wiring that makes you double-check, plan ahead, and see the disaster coming that no one else did. It's not weakness. It's an early warning system that never learned to turn its volume down. The focused brain. This is the brain that can lock onto one thing and tune out the entire world. This one runs on strong executive function, the prefrontal cortex working like a spotlight, holding attention on a single target and suppressing everything that isn't relevant. When a focused brain enters the zone, hours vanish. Hunger, notifications, other people, gone. Signs, this is you. Once you start something interesting, you genuinely forget to eat. You can go deep on a single subject for hours and come out the other side with real mastery. You find shallow, scattered work almost painful. You crave depth. The strength is enormous. Focus is the closest thing there is to a superpower in a distracted world. While everyone else checks their phone 40 times an hour, you're actually building something. The weakness? Tunnel vision. You can lock so hard onto one thing that you miss the bigger picture or forget the people around you. And switching tasks can feel like physically ripping yourself away. But in a world designed to shatter attention, the focused brain quietly wins. Every app on your phone is engineered by teams of people whose entire job is to break your concentration and sell it. The focused brain is one of the last things standing against that machine. In an age where attention is the rarest currency there is, being able to sit with one hard thing for hours isn't just useful, it's almost a form of power most people have quietly lost. The distracted brain, fast, curious, and almost impossible to keep in one place. This is the wiring often linked to ADHD-type patterns, and at its heart is dopamine, the brain's motivation chemical. In a distracted brain, dopamine is regulated differently, so boring tasks feel almost physically unbearable, while novel, exciting, or urgent things suddenly unlock laser focus out of nowhere. Signs this is you. You have 20 tabs open in your head at all times. You start the dishes, notice a sock, end up reorganizing a drawer, and forget the dishes entirely. Deadlines are the only thing that make you productive because urgency finally gives you the dopamine to start. You're not lazy. Your brain just runs on interest, not on discipline. The strength people overlook. Distracted brains are often incredibly creative, fast, and brilliant in a crisis because chaos is where they come alive. Boring rooms kill them. Emergencies wake them up. The weakness is obvious. Routine, admin, the slow, boring stuff that life is secretly made of. The distracted brain doesn't need to become the focused brain. It needs to make the boring things interesting or turn them into a game. Timers, challenges, music, racing the clock, anything that injects a little urgency or novelty. Because the moment a distracted brain finds something it actually cares about, it doesn't just focus. It goes further and faster than almost anyone, hyper-focusing so hard the rest of the world disappears. The problem was never ability, it was fuel, the social brain. The one wired to read people like open books. Some scientists connect this to mirror neurons and to something called theory of mind, your brain's ability to model what someone else is thinking and feeling. In a social brain, these systems are dialed way up. You walk into a room and instantly feel the mood. You catch the tiny change in someone's voice that means something's wrong. Signs, this is you. You can tell when a friend is upset before they say a word. You adjust how you talk, depending on who's in front of you. You remember personal details about people. You feel physically uncomfortable when there's unspoken tension in a room. The strength, people trust you. You're the glue in every group. The one who smooths conflict, the natural connector. You can walk into almost any room and belong. The weakness, you can lose yourself in other people. You absorb everyone's emotions until you're not sure which feelings are even yours. You can become so good at reading what others want that you forget what you want. The social brain's hardest lesson is learning to protect its own energy. Because being everyone's safe place has a cost. You become the therapist friend, the peacemaker, the one who holds the group together, and slowly you can end up carrying feelings that were never yours to carry. Learning to say no, to step back, to let a room be tense without fixing it is the single hardest and most important skill a social brain will ever learn. The introverted brain. There's fascinating science here. In introverts, the pathways the brain uses to process stimulation tend to be longer and more sensitive, and introverts appear to need less external stimulation to feel full. A loud party doesn't energize this brain, it drains it because it's already processing everything deeply. The introverted brain isn't shy or antisocial, it's just running a richer internal world. Signs this is you. After socializing, even when you had fun, you need to be alone to recharge. It's not optional, it's fuel. You think before you speak, so you sometimes come up with the perfect thing to say 10 minutes too late. You prefer one deep conversation to 10 shallow ones. Small talk feels like sandpaper. The strength, depth. You notice things loud brains skip. You think carefully, listen genuinely, and build a handful of relationships that actually matter. The weakness, a world built for the loudest voice can overlook you. And you can hide so far inside your own head that you never share the gold that's in there. The introverted brain's power comes out the moment it stops apologizing for needing quiet. History is full of quiet minds who changed everything. Not by being the loudest in the room, but by going so deep on one thing that they saw what the loud ones missed. If this is you, stop trying to become an extrovert. The goal was never to be louder. It was to take the rich inner world you already have and let just enough of it out. The sensitive brain researchers call this sensory processing sensitivity, and it affects a real and consistent slice of the population. In a sensitive brain, the nervous system takes in more sound, more light, more emotion, more subtle detail, and processes all of it more deeply. Everything is turned up. A scratchy shirt, a harsh tone, a beautiful piece of music. It all hits harder. Signs this is you. Bright lights, loud rooms, and chaotic environments overwhelm you fast. You're deeply moved by art and beauty. You notice the tiny things, a shift in someone's expression, a detail in a room that others walk right past. Criticism can sting for days. Here's the reframe. The sensitive brain isn't too much, it's high resolution. It's picking up signal that lower sensitivity brains filter out. That's why sensitive people are so often the artists, the healers, the ones who notice what's really going on. The weakness is simply overload. A world this loud and bright can flood a high-resolution system. The sensitive brain doesn't need to toughen up. It needs the right environment to finally breathe. The adaptable brain. This one is built on neuroplasticity, the proven, almost magical ability of your brain to physically rewire itself based on what you do and think. Every brain has this, but some people lean into it so hard it becomes their defining trait. The adaptable brain treats itself as a work in progress, not a fixed thing. Signs, this is you. You've reinvented yourself more than once. You get bored of who you were and become someone new. You pick up skills fast because you actually believe you can change. And that belief alone physically speeds up learning. You're not attached to, this is just how I am. The strength is the ultimate one. While other brains are stuck defending their identity, yours keeps upgrading. You can move between logic and emotion, focus and creativity, depending on what the moment needs. The weakness? Sometimes you change so much you lose your center, chasing the next version of yourself without ever settling. But here's the secret this whole video has been building toward. You are not stuck with one brain. Yes, you probably recognized yourself strongly in one or two of these. The anxious one, maybe, or the creative one, or the brain that can't sit still. That's your default wiring, and it's real. But because of neuroplasticity, none of it is a life sentence. The logical brain can learn to feel. The anxious brain can learn calm. The distracted brain can learn to focus in its own way. The 3 pounds of tissue behind your eyes is the most adaptable object in the known universe. The kind of brain you have today is just where you're starting from, not where you have to end up. So the real question was never, which brain are you? It's which brain do you want to become? If you saw yourself in one of these, tell me which one down in the comments. I'm genuinely curious how many of you are the anxious brain. And if this made you understand yourself a little better, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next